All right, friends, we've got some treasures to talk about. We're gonna get started right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man. This is quite the production. I will now show you the footage of this unloading and the one little failure that happened on the way, but it really wasn't too bad. So take a look at this footage and then we'll come back and talk. All right, friends, as predicted, the load of treasure was waiting at the end of the driveway when I got here, so we're gonna try to go unload it. Awesome. Well, the treasure made it without falling off the edge, huh?
I got it come kind of close.
I seen that. I was. Oh boy.
You don't see that in the dark.
Yeah, that's a good time to do that. Oh. Yeah, that's.
I got up there at 11 and stopped. Man, that don't look like that. Chain was just kind
Oh my.
of.
Yeah. So this isn't a tilt deck trailer, is it? Oh, that's what I thought. We might.
He was gonna.
That's what I thought he said once. He thought maybe he'd do 2 trips or something, but.
I'd have done 2 trips.
I guess we'll maybe pull out a little further and I can get on this side, because I guess we'll probably like one on this wheel and one on the other wheel. How I unloaded stuff before. Pick it up and you drive out from under it, maybe. That's what I'm thinking anyway. I might be wrong, but the good part is down is a lot easier than up. So one way or the other, it's coming off of there.
That's right.
The worst part of it, I broke the
one of a kind
original belt. Still holding its shape from the last time it was used. Oh boy. Well, can't win them all. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, we have quite the quite the production to get this off of here, and it did not go exactly like I wanted. There was some damage. We will talk about that in a minute. Let's start over here with this unit. I guess let's start with some background history. It's probably been about 2 years almost. A guy who watches the channel, viewer Jerry, he messaged me almost immediately when I started YouTube and said, hey, I got some stuff I'm thinking about selling. And he had a couple self-propelled combines and different things, and it was cool, but to be honest with you, I just did not have the money at the time. You know, I wasn't making nothing off YouTube then, so it just didn't work out. And I kind of filed it away to remember that it was there, but never got any farther than that. Okay, well then he ended up having an auction, and it was, I think it was around like a December auction, if I remember right. And so there was a whole bunch of stuff, and he had always said the whole time, even in the emails before, he said, hey, if there's something you want, he said, I can help you get it there, because he said, I've got trucks and everything and my employees can deliver and we'll make it happen. So yeah, so I went with that information into the auction and watched some stuff. Everything, like a lot of that stuff did go really reasonably cheap. I think some of it was even cheaper than he priced it to me. And I kept an eye on a few pieces. I probably had 25, 30 pieces in there that I was mildly interested in. And so anyway, I ended up winning these two, a Model 100 baler and a Model 15 combine. And good deal. So like I said, it's been almost 2 years probably, but it's just been a coordination problem. Either he or I was busy and then couldn't do it or whatever. And you know, I'm just not adventuresome enough, friends, to go up there and haul this down like that. I mean, that was sketchy load. The baler even fell off of the trailer part way on the way here. The driver, when he got here, this wheel was hanging off, and he said, hey, it's something's not right there. And I said, yeah, I see that. So yeah, but anyway, it made it here pretty good and reasonably possible to, you know, make it working again without much effort. So what have we got? This is a Model 100 baler. I've always thought these were super cool. This is what would have been the era of like the Fleetline tractors when they came out. And you know, there's literature and stuff that shows a 77 pulling a 100 automatic tie baler. Interestingly enough, I have some new old stock pieces. I know I've got some of these and some different stuff, so I'm holding out. I might actually have the stuff to fix what I broke on that combine, but I'll show you that in a minute. But these are super cool, friends. I mean, this, if you don't know anything about square baler technology, I'm telling you, the early ones were not much more than a hay press with a self feeder on it, and you'd drive around and there'd be a guy sitting on each side and they'd be feeding the wire through and whatever. Grandpa said as a kid, somebody baled for them, and I think it was an international baler they had, and it was that way. And he said by the end of the day, those guys were just covered and just, I mean, totally black from the dust, and it had to be a miserable job. So the claim to fame here is that these were more or less automatic wire tie. And I don't really understand wire tie necessarily, but we're going to figure it out as we go. We're going to figure it out as we go, friends. But it's super cool. I mean, you just don't hardly ever see these. I saw a model, I want to say it was a Model 8, which was basically the same as this, but later on, at that equipment dealer yard where I buy stuff, and they were going to cut it up for scrap, and it was scrap. I mean, I probably should have tried to save it anyway, because maybe I could have used a piece or two off of it, but it basically was scrap. I mean, it was not good for much. But this one looks like it is, and this one looks like it might have a chance to go again. However, it is missing some stuff, I see, and we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. Namely, it looks like it had a canvas, or it was probably a rubber, well, maybe it was canvas. There's pieces of it hanging that would feed the hay in there from like over. You can tell that when they made this, they were still thinking back like in the early binder days and, you know, pull type combines. That was their mindset. So they were still doing stuff with canvas early on, you know. Self-propel, or the pull type combines, the later ones like that Minneapolis Moline I got, was after people had wised up and thought, hey, why should we do that when we could just have an auger take it and no canvas to deal with? So anywho's, that's that. But we got this baler here. It doesn't appear that the baler is stuck. I mean, I'm sure there's some chains and stuff that need some zipping down. I'm also not sure about like that there might be something might be out of alignment there. I'm not sure we'll have to see. It's very possible at this point. I mean, it had a this had a very gentle trip to the ground, but I can't say that about everything. The other thing was not so much. This pulley's bent a little bit. It also looks like somebody else has maybe been into there before, but we can sort stuff like that out. We'll figure that out. That's not my primary worry at this point. So this particular one is set up with this Wisconsin to run it, so you could pull it with anything that you could pull it with, you know. That should have been on there. Wonder how long that's been off of there. There's a fuel tank. I'm very positive, I would say, that this motor's locked up. That would be my thinking. So we'll have to take that apart and potentially zip all that out and see if we can save it. I got a buddy who said he was going to give me 2 V4 Wisconsins, so there might be one in that lot that I could just swap in on here and make her go, and then have a running Baler that's ready to go. I don't know, but this is just super cool. I mean, it looks like so much overkill when you've seen the kind of balers we have now, but they were still figuring this out, you know. They didn't know anything about stuff and things. That's a lever to pick up the pickup. How about that? Did not know that. I just really like mechanical things like this that are so, I don't know what you want to say, bulky, or just a lot of stuff, you know, a lot of moving parts, a lot of clever things that those old timers had to figure out how to make it work. I just really think that's cool. And this is fairly complete, and like I said, I think I can make this go again. It's just going to be now finding time to do it with all of our other projects that we don't have time to do. But you got to save the stuff while it's available, because this is the kind of thing where they're getting scrapped every day, friends. If you don't save them when they come available, they just don't make it. And the poor thing has been sitting outside for a good while now because of how long it took us to get this done, but stuff still moves, so I think we'll be okay. We just have to tackle this a little at a time, you know, like they say, you eat an elephant one bite at a time. So yeah, pretty cool though. Model 100 Baler, and that's dandy. Now let's check out this treasure. I have wanted for much time an Oliver pull type combine, and I got that Moline one to tide me over just because, you know, it was there and it was close and it's fun. And actually it's probably the one to use, because this is another one that's going to take canvas, and I'll have to get canvas made. That Oliver guy has got one of these model 15 combines, but he also needs canvas. So if I could find a canvas guy, I would just have him make a couple sets, maybe 3 sets, I don't know, and figure it out. The sad part is I have no pattern to go by here, and I don't know what the procedure would be. I was thinking that there was actually 2 canvases in here. Maybe not. Maybe there's only one, or maybe there's an upper one. Yeah, I was thinking there was an upper one that went here, and then the lower one that fed it in, and then the upper one kind of floated. We'll have to look at books and stuff and see. But this is another piece that I didn't think was in too bad a shape. Now, I did it not so many favors unloading it. It had a boo-boo. It slipped off the tractor, and a fork went up there, and it just totally destroyed this. So we're gonna have to come up with some pulley pieces and then straighten this out again. That got hammered. That's really nothing. That's just like a channel piece, so that shouldn't be too difficult. But, and a guy might even be able to take his time and straighten this enough to go. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Well, this isn't going to be a project that happens today, so we'll sort that out. I wonder if that was the belt that drove a straw spreader. Might have been. Look at how narrow this little feller is, though, you know? Shakers. It's basically a threshing machine. A self-propelled, or not a self-propelled, but a pull-type threshing machine. And like I said, fairly complete. Nice little deal. But it also has a engine, and this is stuck. I know he told me about that back when we first talked about it. So we'll have to strip all this off, pull the head and see how bad it's stuck, and then, you know, maybe we can zip it and get it unstuck. Maybe it's totally trashed. I don't know. But I don't even know what this is. If this is a little Continental, it kind of looks Continental-esque the way that it's put together. But we'll hope that maybe we can find some parts for it and get that to go. Got a Fairbanks mag, which is fairly common, so that should be easy to find parts for. But see, you're kind of limited when you have this, because now we have to get this running because there's no drive pieces to run it with a power takeoff. You have to have the thing, so that's fine. There was some damage done over here too, because when it fell off over there, it slammed into the side of the deal, but that's mainly body work. We'll hammer that out and pretend it didn't hurt us. It's just unfortunate that it was going so well and then it didn't. But these are awkward machines to move. That's the biggest thing that has held me back from saving more of them. I've seen more combines and balers and stuff I would love to save, but what do you do, friends? There's no good way to pick them up. They're heavy, they're awkward, they don't lift evenly. There's just a lot of stuff that, yeah, we'll have to mess with this more. I bet this is the throttle. Is it, or is that something else? I don't know what that does. Oh, that's the machine. That's probably the unload lever. It's cabled over to this, and then that would drive the unloader. So that's good to know. I like their auger setup. All you do is fold it out of the way when you're not using it, tilt it out when you want to use it, and you're good to go. Just an interesting machine. Gear drive reel. That's kind of interesting. Most machines were not that way. It's got, you know, controls up here to run all your stuff. And it's just an interesting too, which I think there was something about this, and I don't remember what the story was or the rule, but the tongue is red on this one. So that's kind of interesting. It had a red tongue and then green body and red wheels, red reel. But it's just a snazzy little machine, you know. And I kind of think it's cool that it has its own motor on it, because you probably don't see many of them. Now, it's a lot more work for us to get this going, but I'm okay with it. We'll figure it out. Yeah, I just love old combines and balers and stuff. Things that are mechanical, friends, I just am really impressed with. Model 15. It always amazes me. Those old timers could make this. Somebody had to think up this stuff of how to make this do that and whatever and the other. And they had to do it without precision tools. And they accomplished so much with so little. And it seems like now we've got so much and we can't figure out how to do the simplest thing that they could. I don't know. But, you know, like the baler and the automatic wire knotter. That was impressive technology. Another thing I've said before, I'd love to have, just because I think it's neat, is a roto baler, an Alice Chalmers roto baler. That was a neat piece of technology. If you watch that thing work, it's amazing. Like, how did a guy think that up? That's what we need to do. But I'm really bummed about this, though. I don't know. So stupid. I don't think there's anything behind here, though. Well, this tray for the one auger might have taken a little bit of a hit, but basically that's cosmetic only and it's not going to hurt. There, somebody else has been into it, and that cross auger's got a dent in it. So we'll have to fix that. I mean, I knew that we were going to have to repair it. It's not like it was a field ready machine and I screwed it up. I pretty well knew that anytime you buy something this old, there's going to be things, you know. There's going to be things that need attention, and that's just how she goes. So, how to tackle this project? Well, really both of them. I need to order more zip. That's like step number one. Let's look behind the curtain. The man behind the gun. That was something that they advertised all the time. Anyway, the retarding curtain behind the feeder. Now this is bad. This beater is pretty rotten, so that's going to take some creative dramatics there. Is that even free? Not really. It would move. That's okay. It's like I said, there's things. How does that work? Not real sure how this. I would assume that this goes in that hole. I don't know. Walk away. We'll figure it out later. I got to look at my literature collection, see if I got a book on one of these. And if not, I should probably do that thing. Get one. Because there will be questions that I have. Because actually, this combine is put together slightly differently than other combines, you know. The fan is down there below the cylinder. That's kind of an unusual arrangement, but the thing does not have straw walkers to speak of. It's got shakers, kind of like your threshing machine. Like I said, this is more closely related to a threshing machine than that Moline combine I've got. The Moline combine is more closely related to our modern self-propelled combine, or straw walker combines, I should say. So, very interesting deal. But I think it's a pretty solid piece. And like I said, if I don't break my leg out here, because there's whatever. How does this work? Okay, there we go. So, we'll get that all freed up, but that's your head height adjustment. And then here's like your machine controls. It's just cool. I just like it. I just really... machines, friends. I love machines. See, there's your box where I guess I could go get a bunch of PTO shafting and make a PTO shaft to go up there so that a guy could run it with a PTO if he had to, you know. And maybe I need to do that anyway, because maybe we don't want to always run the motor, you know. We'll figure that out later on, you know. If a guy could get a shaft, if a guy could get a, what I want to say, like a short piece, you can get adapters that are to like 540. And if you did that and you got a short PTO shaft there, you could take it out when you weren't going to use the tractor PTO, and you get another short one on the other end and just take them both out and then run it off of the motor, and then you could have a long shaft in there the whole time. There's ways that could be done where it could switch back and forth pretty easy. And all you'd have to do is take off your roller chain when you wanted to go PTO style. But we'll see. We're going to try to get the old motor going. I don't think it's going to be hard, and I don't know. If it's a Continental, surely there's pieces out there. Yeah. Just a neat piece. And not in too bad a shape, other than the grief that I caused it. But, yeah. Don't hold your breath, though. I don't think we'll get that going by wheat time. I just don't. I don't think we'll make it. Now, what else did we get? Well, viewer Jerry also texted me one time. He said, hey, he said, there's an auction up here right by me, and they've got some stuff you need, and if you buy it, he said, I'll pick it up and keep it till we bring you your stuff. And he was right. Here in these boxes, friends, are Oliver Fiat service tools. Specifically, I think to do the clutches and what have you. I don't want to lose these papers, but anyway, clutch adjustment tools for all of the Fiats. And that is super important because we're getting ready to do a clutch on a Fiat, namely a 1250A. So we will definitely make use of that probably. Here's the holding jig fixture that goes with it. So that's pretty cool, you know. Factory Fiat service tools and 2 more implements to add to my auction so that when I die you have something to bid on, you know. But I'm stoked. It's taken a while. I've been excited about these because I love old implements, and yeah, we just need to pretty well get the Zep and pull heads and stuff and get the stuff to start soaking so that we can see what happens. The bad thing is these little motors like this or that one and the other one, they really need to be in good shape to run, not just be able to run, because they're a pain in the Knudsen to start anyway. And if you have them where they're tired, that's really a struggle bus, friends. It really is. I know that a lot of old timers on combines specifically, they'd be running along fine, but then the combine would get a plug and the motor would die. Okay, well, guess what? Then you couldn't start it immediately back up. They did not start when they were hot. You had to let them cool down, then they'd fire right up. And I know one guy I know, he told me that he was a kid and they had an international full type combine, and he was out there doing it and it got a slug and killed the motor. And he didn't know that you had to wait. And he cranked and he cranked and he cranked. It wouldn't start. He pulled it under the shade tree and cranked and cranked and cranked and it wouldn't start. And he got so mad that he beat the shroud all up on a thing and with the crank and just beat the tar. It was an international, so that little hood looked like a little front of like an A or B Farmall styling. And he beat the tar out of that thing. And here a while later, his grandpa came up there and he said, "Did that make you feel better?" And he said, "Let me show you something." And he went over and he started it right up, and the kid was like, "What is that?" He said, "You have to wait for it to cool off." And he said, "Then it'll fire right back up again." So, anywho's, that's an interesting story from back in the day. Maybe you don't care. I don't know. This looks like this has gotten a little bit worse for wear, but we can straighten that. I'm excited. I wish I had more hours in the day to just play with toys, because there's just a lot of cool stuff. I don't know. There's that shaft that I thought looked like it wasn't quite square anymore, but I don't know why. I'm not sure why that, I don't know what would have bent that would make it not square anymore. Maybe it's an optical illusion. That's very possible. And it's very possible that it wasn't perfect from the factory, you know. This stuff is not precision to say, but I would have thought they'd have done a decentish job. There's remnants of our belt. I honestly don't know what I'm gonna do for that. If that's a type of... Everybody always says, go to the Amish, go to the Amish. The Amish can help you. Well, I don't know if that's true. That almost feels like, well, I guess that was some type of canvas. We'll dig out and see if, I think I got a book on one of these too, and then maybe that will tell us what we got. Like what length it's supposed to be, I don't know. But a good zepping is going to do this wonders. Every chain, every movable part will need to be zepped. Of quite honestly, as far as taking it to the field, the combine will probably be easier because I understand more of how it works. This has got some things on it that I just don't understand yet, like the wire tie mechanism, and I just don't know, but we'll figure it out. I think that jack he sent goes on this, and we need to probably get us a tire, 750/16 implement tire. So that tire probably would have been good. Maybe it's still good. Maybe if I jack it up and take the wheel off and inspect the tire, it's pretty bad though. And since this is something I'm gonna keep, I don't have a problem, I guess, with buying a new tire. But it needs to be up on rolling ability, because a guy could take it, like I could take this to a show behind a tractor just like it is, because nobody's seen one. Even though it's pretty non-functional, it still would be cool to see, would it not? So that's what I'm operating under there, you know. Even if we don't get it running yet, I could hook it behind a 77 and pull it somewhere, show it off. But I don't know. I mean, you look at this, it's basically a hay press, friends. I mean, so yeah, that's another thing I've been desperately wanting to accumulate, and I just haven't got it done. I've looked at several, and I thought I had one bought. An Oliver hay press would have been perfect, and it was out in like West Virginia, and I messaged the guy, and my auctioneer friend just happened to be going out there. He said somebody bought something from me off auction time and they want me to deliver it to him, and it's out there, and it was like very close by, but then the guy never would answer me back, and then finally I think they deleted the listing. So that was not meant to be, and it's sad because it was so close, you know. This is interesting. It's almost like a fiber wheel, a fiber pulley, but stuff like this will have to come all the way apart to sort out what it is, how it works, get it freed up, cleaned up, things like that. This carriage arm, I'm not entirely sure how all this works, but I do know I have a couple of these new old stock implement parts. So I'm holding out hope. I might, if I dig through stuff, I might actually have a pulley halves for this, what I destroyed. I probably have the small one, the big one maybe not, but I guess if anybody out there in viewer land has a parts model 15 combine that's never going to run again, I would definitely be in the market for some of this stuff I destroyed, like this pulley here. This pulley's got a little bit of it. I can probably save this one, but definitely this pulley and maybe this rod. If you have a parts machine and you'd be willing to get that off of there, and you'd also be willing to mail it to me, I would of course reward you with paper that is green. But you know, just let me know. I guess that's probably a very limited group of people that would have something like this for parts, but I'm sure we can make that. I can get a weld a pulley and figure it out if I have to, but it would be nice to try to find the right stuff first. And then also, if anybody's got a source that they know can make these canvases, that would also be a cool thing, because I don't really know exactly where I'm gonna go, but I know that we got to first get a lot of other stuff done before we even worry about that, because that's a long ways off. That is just an interesting design, you know. A gear drive reel. It's got a slip clutch on it. It's got like those Blood Brothers U-joints like you found on the steering system, or at least that one is. That's interesting. Little bicycle chain to run the reel. Just taking it all in, friends, taking it all in. It's just what a cool thing, you know. I would venture to guess that this was more of a, like you'd see these probably the area of the 70, especially having the extra engine, because by the time you got to the fleet lines, I mean, these were still around to start with, but then they got to the Model 18, which had the auger and no canvas. So, yeah. Anyway, we might as well leave this one here. It's getting windy and not wanting to participate, but 2 more toys for our collection. Not that much money in them. I am going to send the guy a check for hauling, the guy that actually owns the outfit. The delivery guy was just an employee, but he was a super nice guy. I had fun, you know, hanging out with him unloading this stuff, so that was great. So anyway, until next time, friends, thank you for watching, and as always, you know, do all the things. Hit the thumbs up, leave comments, that kind of stuff, hype, whatever you have to do. Anything you do helps this channel, and then I can buy more treasures like this that you can then enjoy from the comfort of your recliner. So all of that, yes. So as always, friends, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. After watching what you just saw, do you feel like your IQ has dropped lower than your credit score? Well, there's no reason that both of us should be miserable, so go ahead and hit that thumbs up and leave a comment. That stuff costs you nothing, and it really helps me out. Your banker may not approve, but I know mine will. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.